Joseph Hanna here from No Reserve Classics. Today I'm going to be presenting to you guys this awesome 1967 Camaro RSSS full Pro Touring car with an LSX 427 and a Tremec 6-speed transmission and so much more.
Oh, sorry guys. Didn't mean to startle you. Well, you startled me. But let's hop inside, take this 67 LSX for a ride, and let's show you what she's all about. Guys, let's go! Hey guys, and welcome back. And wow, did you guys just hear that startup video? I mean, that exhaust, well, this exhaust, I'm in the car. This exhaust is great. You got that beautiful rumble through this seat. It just sounds amazing. 427 cubic inch motor just blaring down this road. I mean, I got this awesome 6-speed transmission made by Tremec that's actually out of a Dodge Viper, which, if you guys don't know, those babies do have some serious horsepower, and so does this bad boy. I mean, guys, listen, this is an LSX motor, right? So that's like purchasing, let's say, a Yukon, and then you say, wow, let's step it up. Let's get the Yukon Denali, the big boy. This is the Z06 motor that's in here. This is the big boy motor. And also the Z06 bring that inside the car to these seats right behind me. Those 3 digits behind me, Z06, do remind you that you are driving in a 54, 53-year-old Z06 pretty much, guys. But you don't have any of that problems with the carburetor, and let's face it, guys, it's nice to have a vehicle like this. It really is. And you know what? First glimpse of this vehicle, besides this beautiful exterior with the RS kit, the spoiler on the back, are those huge forged line wheels, custom wheels, and it's got a 335 tire on the rear. And you're gonna need that with all this power this motor's putting down. It's insane. As we're moving forward, the majority of the time, we're sitting in the front seat. We've got these 2 beautiful Phantom gauges made by Autometer, RPM, and miles per hour, and an excellent complement to those gauges are right here in the center. Our voltage meter, our water meter, our fuel gauge, and our oil gauge. So just enough information that we know what's going on with the vehicle, we know we're safe to drive, we're not overheating, we don't have any mechanical issues, and we can take this baby cross country at 110, 120 miles an hour. Guys, this car is not for the faint of heart. This car definitely loves to be manhandled. She loves to be grabbed and just thrown around these turns, downshifting, and just going balls to the wall. And it's just the little amenities that make it wonderful to drive. Besides the power steering, we got a tilt steering wheel. We got actually a removable steering wheel. So if you're a little bit bigger of a guy, you have a hard time getting in and out of some of these cars, you just simply press the button, lift the steering wheel off, and you can get into the cars and click it right back in, as well as going to the track or an event or something like that. It's an anti-theft. You just pop that steering wheel off and nobody will be able to steal your ride. As we're going to some of these shows and events, the motor sounds great, the exhaust sounds beautiful, but let's face it, guys, sometimes we just want to listen to the radio. We just want to connect our phone, Apple CarPlay. We have all of that in this vehicle. Yes, that's right, guys. A 50-odd-year-old vehicle, having Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Bluetooth, it is a pleasure. So we talked about the performance. We talked about the handling. We talked about little creeper features like the dash, the knob. I mean, everything is beautiful, everything matches, everything's black and white on the interior, just great. One thing that, listen guys, we can't put the top down in this, it's not a convertible, it's a coupe. We do have the vintage air system, and it's just 3 little knobs, hot, cold, AC, and the fan speed. That's all we need, nice and simple. We're enjoying this ride, and let's stay cool or stay warm while doing it. And that Hydro Boost steering system really is really nice. I enjoyed that. You know what? Hydro boost connected to bare disc brakes. So with all this horsepower we have under the motor, we're able to stop, bam, just like that on a dime. And while we're talking about horsepower, guys, this thing does have a lot of kahunas, as you would say, but let's face it, I want more. This car is set up for that. 650 horsepower. With all that horsepower, just like me, I want just a little bit more. That LSX motor, the 12-volt rear, 6-speed Viper transmission Tremec. If you wanted to add single or dual turbskis, twin turbos, she'll be able to handle it with no upgrades necessary. The transmission's there, the rear is there, the motor's set up for it to iron block. It can handle over 1,000 horsepower. Now before we bring this beautiful car back to Joe at the barn, let's enjoy some of these turns. Let's enjoy some of this suspension that we got going on. We got no roll in these corners. Let's take this baby a little bit more aggressively. No roll in the body of the car. It's just planted down almost as if we're glued to the road, but at the same time, throw it back in the third, hit that gas, and we can spin those tires all the way back to the barn. Talking about bringing it back to the barn, Joe, we're on our way, buddy, and it was a pleasure, absolute pleasure driving this beast of a Camaro. See you soon.
Thanks, Chris. I hope you enjoyed that ride. The exterior of this car is absolutely gorgeous. The paint is a custom color. It's kind of like a light graphite gray and fits in really well with this black bumblebee stripe, the LSX 427 marks, where you would see the original SS emblems, and some of the original emblems on the front, side, and rear of the car have all been custom airbrushed in and painted way underneath that clear. Going to the front of the car, you'll notice the RS headlights in the front, the RS Hideaway headlights. Those Hideaway headlights are electric, and underneath them, it's got HID technology, similar to a new and modern car. When you're driving at night, that makes a huge difference in visibility. Looking at the fog lights is our infamous Resto Modded package. It'll go to the amber for the turn signals, or you could turn it into fog lights to help with your visibility when driving at night that much better. Noticing the front and rear bumpers on the car have also been powder coated a gloss black to match the bumblebee stripe, as well as the window trim moldings have also been powder coated a gloss black material. Now going off to the rear of the car, kind of just jumping to the rear, you'll notice the D80 spoiler package, which is again, in the front of the car, it has the same spoiler package as the rear D80 spoiler package. You'll also notice the blacked out tail pan. That's the infamously known big block tail pan. Well, that was also done in a gloss black to complement all the other gloss black powder coating on the car. The powder coating was also done on the handles and other various places on the car. So the car was blacked out really nicely and really complements that gray paint. In the rear of the car, you'll also notice the Ride Tech cap. Usually they would have an SS cap or some sort of factory style cap that would just say Chevrolet on it that you would take off. The Ride Tech cap looks that much better and that much more pro touring. LED tail lights in the rear, the bezels have also been powder coated black. Just an awesome look. And guys, pay close attention to these forged line wheels. 335 tires in the rear with 13-inch wide tires in the rear. Huge, right? The forged line wheels that were put on this car were powder coated in an awesome bronze color. The black, gray, and bronze just fits in awesome. You look a little deeper into the wheels, you'll notice the bare disc brakes. It's got multi-piston bare front and rear disc brakes with a hydro boost setup that controls it extremely well. This is a lot more than a classic car, a truly modern pro touring classic car. The type of car that you could drive every day or take to the track and outperform most people out there on that track with this LSX and 6-speed trans. This engine compartment truly defies the way a pro touring car's engine compartment should look. Flushed out filler panel, everything body and color matched from underneath the hood to the inner fenders. Looks like a beautiful canvas with an awesome painting right in the center. LSX 427 motor. If you guys are not familiar with the LSX 427, Google search it. An LSX 427 is pretty much the cast iron version of an LS7. Now guys, I had an LS7 in my 2007 Z06, and that car was probably one of my favorite cars. I mean, the power in second and third gear was just astronomical and threw you back in your seat. Well, that's exactly what this motor will do to you. Air conditioning system, full serpentine AC system, vintage air system, all polished to perfection, a fast intake manifold. I mean, the list just goes on and on. Hydro boost brake setup, so those bare disc brakes are driven by that hydro boost setup. Aluminum radiator, of course, massive aluminum radiator that can handle up to 1,000 horsepower. Electric fan, everything polished aluminum billet, absolutely gorgeous. LSX 427 that's matted to a T56 6-speed out of a Dodge Viper. These are not your regular T56s out of regular Camaros or Corvettes. These T56s Transas are a lot more massive and can handle a lot more power. From my understanding, this T56 out of this Dodge Viper can handle up to 1,000 horsepower. Overall, high horsepower, yet functional and show quality all in one. The true definition of a pro touring car and a pro touring drivetrain. A perfect pro touring interior. Modern, vintage, and functional. And you'll notice that in all three characteristics of this interior. Let's start with the driver's cockpit. C5 Z06 power seats. 3-point seat belts by Morris Classics. Phantom autometer gauges that match the center console. Clayton machined brushed bronze pedals, which complement the Nardi brushed bronze steering wheel as well as the forged line wheels on this car. Everything fits together like a glove and is put together exceptionally well. Now let's talk about the radio that's inside the car. It's a Sony touchscreen Apple CarPlay multifunctional radio. Up to 2020 or 2021 technology, you could plug your phone in there and all your favorite apps will show right up on that screen. 200 watt built-in amplifier. Well, you're gonna need those 200 watts because in the kick panels, there's Rockford Fosgate speakers. And even though they look like they should be in there, and that's what would have came in factory, it's obviously not, but fits just perfectly. Again, a true pro touring interior. Modern, vintage, yet functional. The underbody and suspension of this car is in great shape. The floors are absolutely phenomenal. The frame rails also in great shape. Now the floors, none of that undercoat and goop on it. We sanded everything completely down to bare metal, primered it, and painted it with the correct satin black, which is exactly what the floors would be painted with factory-wise. Let's talk a little bit about the suspension, the most special part about a pro touring car. Let's start with the front end. Detroit Speed Stage 2. Guys, if you don't know anything about Detroit Speed, look them up. All parts made in the US, all super high quality parts. This kit has the tubular control arms, JRI tuned adjustable coilovers, and also, of course, updated rack and pinion steering. Now that's just in the front end. Let's move over to the middle of the car. It does have frame connectors. Guys, with first generation Camaro, 67, 68, and 69 are subframe cars. Well, when you're rocking around 600 plus horsepower to the rear wheels, a subframe is just not gonna work. Well, this car has full frame connectors connecting the front subframe along with the rear frame and really truly making the solidity a lot better on this car. Moving on to the rear end. It does have traction bars on it. The traction bars go to a multi-leaf suspension setup along with a 12-bolt rear end. Not your regular grandma's 12-bolt rear end. This is definitely a built 12-bolt rear end that should be more than sufficient to handle the power that this car delivers. Going on to there, you'll notice the fuel tank. Looks a little different than your factory fuel tank, right? It's a TIG welded stainless steel, fuel safe, fuel management gas tank setup that's in there. That's been custom inputted into the trunk as well. So an underbody that is completely show car quality and just as clean as the top of the car, but an underbody that also functions and also works the way this car should. A true pro touring car with the suspension that'll be able to handle this type of performance for everyday driving or upgraded track driving. So guys and gals, If you're looking for a first generation, true pro touring, racetrack inspired, badass car with an LSX 427 and a Tremec T56 6-speed that'll handle up to 1,000 horsepower, and you want something that could truly hug the road as you're driving and truly are looking for that experience of a first gen Camaro, take a look at this 1967 Camaro RS SS Pro Touring car. This is Joseph Hanna from No Reserve Classics. If you guys are interested in this car or want to check out other cool Pro Touring resto mods, check our website out at noreserveclassics.com. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and if you want to watch other cool Pro Touring and resto mod videos, check us out on youtube.com.